It was an amazing group of athletes that we had together. The USA, USA Volleyball in their infinite genius, had their training center, I think, in Toledo, Ohio for a number of years.
It was in Ohio?
And someone had a revelation. Maybe if they trained in San Diego, we'd have some better players. And, sure enough, you're on that line, and you've got Pat Powers and Craig Buck and Dusty Dvorak and Sinjin and Hovland and Karch and we were young. We were young and cocky, and Doug Beal hated us. Hated the beach guys, the guys that played both, especially. Like me, Hov, Sinjin, Karch. We were all in his crosshairs.
Yeah.
But man, did we train? We trained. We'd get at 8 o'clock to noon. We played 4 hours. We'd train volleyball. Then after that, we do an hour of jump training. And those boxes
What's
and those
jump train, like at the gym?
Yeah,
or?
jump training at the gym.
Box
They would
jumps.
they would get these boards that they'd cover with carpet, and you'd have to run them along the ground as fast as you go, side to side, back and forth.
Right.
And we had boxes, and we just had these circuit of different height boxes that you'd have to go to. And I just would never forget the legs of Karch and Hovland, because for them it was a
just
walk in the park. I mean, I was just killing myself to get up to some of these boxes.
Yeah.
And they were just bing. It's like they would barely hit the ground, and they'd be back up, and they just had these. I mean, Hovland was an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
And obviously Karch was as well. But those two, they just seemed to just cruise through the jump training.
And you guys are always trained together?
Yeah.
For those?
Yeah, we were all
Even though
all in the
were
gym.
kind of like arch rivals?
No, but we were on the national team.
Oh,
this
right.
is
So
for
it's
indoor volleyball.
Got it. Right.
Yeah. But then,
Yeah, how did that transition?
oddly enough, 4 hours and an hour of jump training wasn't enough, because then we'd head straight to South Mission Beach, buy a sandwich and a couple Mickey's Big Mouth beers, and play volleyball all afternoon. And then we'd go out and go to the bars or wherever and wreak havoc till whenever, and then we'd be up at 8 playing again. But you're 21, 22, is.
Yeah.
You could be blowing a 2.7 and you bounce the first ball in warm-ups. I mean, it was just the way it was. But boy, were we in shape.
Oh, I bet.
We were there. So
That makes sense.
I'll never forget the first road trip we went on. We took a flight to Japan, and we're on this flight, and there's this older gentleman that's kind of sitting around us, and we had struck up a conversation with some of the flight attendants, and before we knew it, they had invited us. It was a 747. They'd invited us on the elevator to go down to the workers' quarters, and we were having cocktails, and somehow this old guy got with us, and we were partying on this plane on our first national team trip.
Like, this is
great. And the coaches are, we don't know where they are, but we're not really that concerned with it. And the old guy that was kind of hanging out with us ended up being one of the executives from USA Volleyball.
Oh, no way.
And we proceed to we land in Tokyo, and we're all just kind of hungover or whatever, and we've got our sunglasses on, and Beal's just out of his mind. Just up, you could just look at the steam coming off his skin, and so we get to our hotel, and we said, well, let's just go walk around for a little bit, and all of a sudden we see this vending machine with kegs of beer. Vending machine. So we end up buying all these kegs. Had this incredible, goofy guy party in Power's room, I think. But it's It's me, Smith, Hov, Karch, Timmons, Powers, and we're making noise. And
Were there any guys on the team that didn't like party that were more
yeah.
straight
We
edge?
had Paul Sunderland and Mark Duraldi and
they're
Aldous Bursons
straight
and
edge.
Rich Durilius, and they're like, all with their ties and then kind of right there with their
Playbooks.
so we're drinking and we're throwing these kegs out the window, and it's late. I don't know what time it is. It's midnight, 1, whatever it is. And we hear a knock on the door. It's like, oh, what are you guys? It's Doug Beal. And I'm thinking, when I think back to it now, I'm thinking, Doug Beal has the future of the men's national, the hopes and dreams of a medal in this room.
Right.
If he walks in, he's got to do something. So we're like, yeah, Doug. He goes, keep it down. He doesn't walk in. He
doesn't want to see it.
So the funny part is we wake up the next morning, our first day in Japan, and we have a team breakfast in the meeting down on the mezzanine, like the second floor, and we look. We're in the buffet line, and it's right by this gigantic picture window with this big awning, and we look out, and there's like 20 kegs that had landed in this awning, that are there, and we're like, oh God, and at this breakfast we received our national team notebooks, the do's and don'ts and what's expected of you, and we had literally shattered every rule. Right. Any kind of rule that could get you immediately kicked off. We had done in the first 48 hours on our trip.